Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Primal Tree Stands, Angler Quest Pontoons and Polarcraft Boats, Shadow Hunter Blinds, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery. Welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine show. And welcome to the new year. Happy New Year to you. Boy, we all have wonderful hopes for 2021, don't we? What we always do going into a new year. The excitement of what the new year is going to bring, hope, anticipation. And it is my hope and prayer for you that this year that you do get to spend as much time outdoors as possible. Learn a new outdoor skill, refine the hobbies, the skills that you do have, encourage others to get involved. Boy, we've seen this last year, haven't we? That's kind of been a theme of this week's show. As bad as COVID was, there were some good things to come out of it, and one of them was this renewed interest in the outdoors. License sales are up. Participation is up. And I'm assuming that that's going to continue into 2021 and hopefully for years down the road. We want as many people as possible to be hooked on this addiction like we are, this addiction of hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping, the history and tradition of the outdoor lifestyle here in the great state of Michigan. Because the more people who are involved, the stronger we are. You might say, look, I don't want my favorite fishing hole or my favorite boat launch or my favorite hunting spot to be overrun by other people. And I get that. I don't think that's the case yet, right? Although the opening day of turkey season last year sounded like the opening day of gun season. But all of those people were out there in the woods enjoying the experience, and that's what we want. You know, the old cliche, strength in numbers, right? The more people who are hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping, and the more people who are exposed to it, and the more people who are can relate to it, the better off for all of us. It's going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year. As I was saying in the second hour, one of the things that I've enjoyed most about being in this position that I find myself in now, you know, just to talk to some great people, talk to some interesting, knowledgeable people, is the people. The experiences have been great, but the people have been really what have kind of made this a very, very cool career. Jim Felgenauer is one of those guys. Jim is an avid outdoorsman, expert angler, a hardcore conservationist, a promoter of our way of life, and newly retired, by the way. And he joins us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Jim, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, Mike. Happy New Year. I hope you are well.
Absolutely. Happy New Year to you. And how is retirement treating you?
You know, life is good when your primary job is to hunt, fish, and camp.
I bet it is. But you've earned it.
You know, Mike, I had a good year as well. We've done very well, and I know a lot of people have not, but I've been very, very fortunate. So I've done very well. First year of retirement, very successful.
Good for you. I'm glad to hear it. Have you? Are you putting some distance between you and some of your other non-related activities? For example, the Lake St. Clair sturgeon group and that. Are you still involved in those efforts?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Mike. You know, I'm and we had a very good year. We, of course, lost some of our outreach events, you know, our partnering kind of things, or the Blue Water Sturgeon Festival, North Channel Sturgeon Festival. But we did have a very, very nice tournament in September. We had our registration. We opened up registration for the North Channel Sturgeon Classic on the July 16th, which is opening day of the sturgeon season. Our field of 30 boats filled up more quickly than it has ever. We had about half of the field was new people to that tournament. And we've had a great fishery this year, a lot of sturgeon caught. Just the night of the tournament, there was 63 lake sturgeon caught.
Wow. I still think I don't know if we can call it a rebound or resurgence or how we're going to characterize it, but the status of the sturgeon fishery, the sturgeon resource here in Michigan, I think is one of the greatest conservation success stories in recent history here in Michigan.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. When it was kind of a lost fishery, there wasn't a lot of participation. We've been promoting that now for 10 years. This is our 10th year anniversary. And it's one of the fastest growing fisheries in the state. But the importance of that is that the more people that you have participating, the greater the ownership interest and the greater the protection for the resource.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that carries beyond sturgeon, though. That's part of this whole resurgence of the outdoors. I don't care if it's rabbit hunting or fly fishing or whatever. The more people who are involved, they have a vested interest and they feel like, hey, I want to protect this now. I want to promote and encourage this.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. And again, I had opportunities to make a few new friends this year. I've gotten a couple people involved in sturgeon fishing that weren't familiar. We've got some people coming in from out of state. I got a new friend from Ohio. And there's a gentleman from the west side of the state. He's a flathead catfish guy, and he started sturgeon fishing this year and has done very, very well. So yeah, it's a great thing, and it's great to see more people participating, and you're making a new friend, and there's room out there for everybody.
I would think a catfish guy would be an easy transition to sturgeon fishing because in some ways they're very similar, aren't they?
Yeah, very similar kind of setups and the same kind of gear and whatever. The only thing is once you catch a few big sturgeon, you're going to be spoiled on that.
No more catfish.
And the catfishing will never be the same.
Once you catch a few sturgeon, I imagine nothing is the same after that.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. Everything else seems small.
Jim, you've spent a lot of time over the years, though, in conservation efforts in promoting this outdoors. What made you take that direction? Because it would have been easier just to sit back and enjoy the fruits of other people's labor and go fishing and not get involved in I hate to say the politics, but the minutia behind the scenes and stuff. You didn't take the easy road.
Well, no, Mike. I think I had the benefit of having contact with some people within the Department of Natural Resources. And honestly, Jenny Silik, my early TV appearances developed into a relationship with Gary Towns, who was a now retired Lake Erie management supervisor for the DNR. And from there, it just took off from there. I got introduced to Brenda Archambault, and we realized we had a little bit of a niche down here in the Detroit River system, St. Clair River system, where we had sturgeon, and we didn't have any group to promote that and protect that. So with that niche, and Mike, I just had the right people. I've got a great board of directors. They're all smarter than I am and very accomplished people. And we had the right combination of people, and I realized that. And so we just took off with this, and it has been the best thing I ever did in my life. Well,
the sign of a good leader is to surround yourself with good people, right?
Yeah, it helps you grow, Mike. It makes you better.
Well, listen, sturgeon, I can't talk to you without talking about sturgeon, but that season's done now, right? Didn't it close here recently?
Well, we got that season extended, Mike. That sturgeon season runs all the way up until March 15th.
Oh, it does.
Catch and release.
It does, okay.
And harvest is over, though.
Well, you don't harvest them anyway, right? So it doesn't matter to you.
No, it doesn't matter to me. There was just a few fish reported as having been harvested this year, which is in line with what usually happens, and well within the number that can be withstood by the resource.
So will some diehards be out there, weather permitting, right on through the wintertime chasing those big fish?
You know what? I might be. Probably not in the boat. We have a local fishing pier, but I'll be fishing from shore.
Oh, that's a whole topic in itself. Well, Jim, listen, the real reason I wanted to get in touch with you was to talk about this very unique Lake St. Clair perch spearing resource, but we're almost out of time for this segment. I got to take a break here, so hang tight. When we come back, we can talk a little bit more and continue our conversation, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right. Just a reminder, too, that this segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by MUCC's On the Ground program. On the Ground is a program to improve habitat for fish and wildlife across the state. For details, check out the Michigan United Conservation Club's website. It's mucc.org. That's mucc.org. We were talking to Amy Trotter from MUCC in the previous segment, and she was telling me that the promo code Mike, all caps, MIKE, is still valid in 2021 to save 25% on your MUCC membership. She said they're also going to expand it to your renewal as well. I was, to be honest with you, thinking that you could use it for your renewal. But it has been expanded. Capital, all caps, MIKE, save 25% on your MUCC membership or renewal. Speaking of promo codes, if you go to outdoorpregame.com, and use the promo code Mike20, you can still get one of those Wraith 270 see-through ground blinds from Primal Tree Stands for just $200. Outdoorpregame.com, promo code Mike20. More with Jim Felgenauer coming up.
The folks at Yider Insurance Group know you have lots of money invested in your hunting and fishing gear, and they want you to be protected. The Yider family has been in the insurance business for more than 75 years, and they build a reputation for taking great care of their customers. As a full-service agency featuring auto owners insurance, Yider can insure your fishing and hunting gear, your boat, snowmobile, ATV, and trailer, just about everything you depend on for your outdoor adventures. Yider also specializes in protecting outdoor-related businesses, from fishing guides to shooting ranges, anything for the great outdoors. The folks at Yider can help you because they're hunters and anglers themselves, and they know what we need from an insurance company. For more info, go to their website, huntingandfishinginsurance.com. That's huntingandfishinginsurance.com. Or call them toll-free at 800-975-6473. I trust the Yider Group and auto owners for all my insurance needs, because with Yider and auto owners, you've got friends in the outdoor insurance business. If you like to troll, you need offshore tackle. For walleye, salmon, trout, muskies, and even crappies, Offshore has something to make your time on the water more fun and productive. New this year, the Easy Crankbait Tuner can help you easily fine-tune your trolling lures for the best depth and action. Offshore's lineup of inline planers will take your baits out to the side and into the fish-catching zone. Check out the OR38 mini boards for a stealthy presentation, or the time-tested OR12s to pull just about any lure configuration. And for the big jobs, the OR37 SST Pro mag boards are what you need. Offshore can help you get your baits down to the fish, too. The resettable tadpole diving planers come in 4 sizes for any bait and any depth. And be sure to look at the time-tested Pro weights for precise depth control. For more info on any offshore product, check out the website offshoretackle.com. That's offshoretackle.com. It's been true for years, and even more so today. Offshore Tackle is your leader in trolling technology. Food plots are a big deal these days, and nobody knows food plots better than the folks at Michigan-based Killer Food Plots. Company owner Nick Percy has worked hard to develop premier whitetail habitat for almost 3 decades. That experience, combined with expertise in building healthy soil and choosing the right seed, will produce the results you're looking for. KFP's natural-based Groganics Fusion Fertilizer and Retain Moisture and nutrient-absorbing pellets can give you the edge in creating food plots to attract and keep deer on your property. Check out their website, killerfoodplots.com. That's killerfoodplots.com. Killer Food Plots can help you get your soil where it needs to be to produce lots of healthy, great-tasting food for wildlife and cover crops to screen your plots and even direct the deer where you want them. This year, take your food plots to the next level with Killer Food Plots. KillerFoodPlots.com.
It's a complicated world we live in. Right about now, I'll bet your head is spinning like a tornado with news and opinions and conflicting do this and don't do that recommendations. Some days, you just want to throw up your hands, go to the woods, and stay there. And you know, that's not a bad idea. Jay's Sporting Goods encourages you to get back to your roots. Do some simple, traditional things for a while. In Michigan's great outdoors, space is one thing we have plenty of. So put as much social distance as you like between you and everyone else, including all your social media pals who somehow just recently became experts on every topic. And one more thing. Before you head out, head into Jay's Sporting Goods. Because even though there are shortages of a lot of things these days, Jay's has just what you need to make the most of your escape to our beautiful wide open spaces. It's the gateway to social distancing the way God intended. Jay's Sporting Goods, Clair and Gaylord.
You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in Holland on WHTC AM and FM, 1450 AM, 99.7 FM. And you can hear us in Ludington on News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Reader Landscaping. Reader can take care of your lawn and property because it's your nature and our nurture. I was thinking of Reader this morning as I was shoveling snow. Got up about 5:30 and looked out the window and went, ooh, we got some snow out there. Went out and started shoveling. By the time I was through shoveling, I needed to shovel again. But I couldn't because I was coming into the studio. I thought, if I would have just called the guys from Reader, this could be taken care of now. So don't let my mistake be your mistake. Check them out online at readerlandscaping.com. That's Reader, R-E-D-E-R, readerlandscaping.com. Talking now with Jim Felgenauer. You know Jim. He's a well-known name in the outdoor world here in Michigan. Big in Sturgeon for Tomorrow, St. Clair River, St. Clair chapter. Avid outdoorsman. And Jim, I want to talk a little bit about perch spearing on Lake St. Clair because it is such a unique resource, such a unique fishery.
Yeah, it is, Mike, and it's a whole fun. It's the visual aspect of it in particular, but more recently, a couple of, when I started spearing, Mike, the season opened on January 1st, and Christmas Eve was always spent me and my buddy putting the shanties out, right? So we got that season extended into early December, but we're just these days not getting ice that early.
Yeah.
So we end up with a little bit of a shorter season. And, hopefully things will start freezing up here pretty quick. But that spear just gives you a little advantage, on that little shorter season that you're going to maybe take a few more fish than somebody that doesn't do that.
Isn't it interesting how, and I'm not saying I believe in global warming or anything like that, but man, we don't have wintertime here in Michigan like we did when I was a kid growing up, that's for sure.
Yeah, Mike, but, at the same time, there's still plenty of opportunities out there. And, right now those fish are in those winter locations. A lot of guys are doing good in the canals and cuts and along the shorelines. And as soon as we get ice, there's going to be a tremendous opportunity to get out there and do a little spearing. Again, you need fairly clear water conditions, but those fish will be stacked up underneath that early ice. And, if they're not willing biters at the time, that spear just gives you another tool, and you can be a little more selective on size as well.
That would be very rewarding because we've all been fishing panfish or perch through the ice, and you watch them come in and you just can't get them to go. Well, if you've got that spear there as an option, time to get your vengeance. Yeah.
And to me, it was always a secondary thing. If we could catch them jigging, we would. But, they're not always willing biters. And, on those days where you're not seeing necessarily a lot of fish and they're coming in smaller groups, maybe twos or threes, you can pick out the bigger fish of that little group and spear that fish and take a day that may have not otherwise been productive and make it a productive day.
Do you cut or spud a big hole like you would for spearing pike, or do you not need one that big?
Yeah, you still need a pretty big hole. That's, I would say 18 by 24 inches minimum. Bigger, it's like televisions. The bigger the screen, the better.
Sure. And it is a lot like watching TV, isn't it? I mean, as far as you're looking into this underwater world and it gives you a picture into a world that we don't normally see. And I think that's part of the appeal of any spearing, is being able to just watch this world unfold underneath you.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. It's a lot different experience than just sitting over a 5 or 6 inch auger hole in a little portable shanty. It's typically, you're going to use a bigger shanty, you're going to have a bigger hole, you're going to be a little more comfortable, and it's just a much better experience. And typically, don't get me wrong, it's nice to sit out there by yourself, but if you got a buddy or something, it's, one guy can run the jigs and the other guy can run the spear, and you both do well.
Do you use decoys like you would for pike spearing, or are your jigs on the end of your line? Does that then become your decoy?
No, I use small decoys about 4 inches long. Some of those I carve myself. But, a lot of guys will use a bigger jigging Rapala or a spoon, something with some bright flash to it. But yeah, and it's interesting. It's in doing that, you can see how aggressive the fish are. Because you have that panoramic view and you can see how the fish are reacting, you can actually pick up a lot of information about. It helps you when you can't see the fish in terms of presentation. Mike, I used to be able to tell what that fish was going to do before the fish knew he was going to do it. So
that comes from a few hours on the ice, doesn't it?
Yeah. This, then again, it's just hours and hours of sitting there and seeing if that fish comes in hard, turns away hard, and then pauses. Then he's going to turn and come back in again, right?
Well, I wouldn't know that. No, I wouldn't know that at all.
But it helps you to understand how fish react to presentations, and sometimes a little presentation change can make a difference. Then you take those lessons and you apply that to your open water fishing, and it just makes you a better angler overall. So it's a lot of fun. When you're out trolling in Saginaw Bay, you can't see those fish. You can't see them hitting your lures. That sitting out on Lake St. Clair in 6 feet of clear water with a spear, it just opens up a whole new world.
Do you ever see any of those monster muskies come cruising through?
Yep. They'll come in on those decoys as well. And that's another thing. I always kept a pike spear in the shanty. Of course, you can't spear muskies on Lake St. Clair, so you got to be able to recognize the difference. But there's an opportunity there to get some pike at the same time that you're perch fishing. Those bigger fish are going to be in there with the perch, with their food. So,
what size is a perch spear? I imagine like the spears I used to get frogs with when I was a kid. That size.
No, they're a little different. They're probably 5 or 6 inches wide, with tines are a little less than an inch apart. There's no barbs. When you spear those fish, they pretty much stiffen up, and you can pull them up, and that helps preserve the meat. If you got a pike spear, you're going to have barbs on it, of course. But,
yeah.
And I prefer a little longer handle. You're going to put that spear down close to that fish, and then basically just push it. You put that down into the water. If you're in about 6 feet of water, if you got a 5 or 6 foot spear, the fish is on the bottom, you can get right down close and just kind of throw that spear like a dart.
You mentioned 6 feet. Is that kind of your sweet spot?
Yeah, Mike, much deeper than that. And I've gone as deep as 8 feet or so, but sometimes you can't get that spear quite as close, and that fish will dodge that spear. You got time to take off, and you'll miss sometimes.
Do you end up? Are there spots where you put your shack, your shanty, year after year that are proven hot spots?
No, Mike, you got to move. I used to fish with some buddies. We would have 3 or 4 wood shanties out there, and we'd kind of move around, scatter a bit until one of us found the fish, then we'd move the shacks close together. If we lost the bite, I'd take off in my portable and I'd go find another school, find out where those fish moved to, and then we'd move all the shanties over there. So some years, and then rarely do you get to set up on a spot and fish that spot for the whole season. Most times you've got to make some moves.
And I hear the old saying, first ice is some of the best ice. Is that the same thing for perch spearing?
Yes. First ice can be tremendous, especially, those inshore areas freeze up first, and if the lake isn't totally frozen, it gives that overhead cover, that shelf for those fish, and they all just pile up underneath there, and it can be very, very good.
So you're running, though, a jigging rod or some kind of a teardrop or something and your spear together, side by side, same hole.
Side by side, same hole. And I'm going to prefer to catch my fish on the jig if I can. And again, it's a judgment call. If you have very large schools of fish coming through and you've got constant action, and they're willing biters, of course, you're going to tend to use more of the jig. If the fish are scattered, they're not as willing to buck coming into their schools, you're going to lean more toward the spear. So just another tool in a toolbox, and like anything else, you select the proper tool for the job at the time.
And it's really cool to have that option. And if I remember right, I think Lake St. Clair is the only body of water in Michigan you can spear perch on, isn't it?
Exactly. It's the only place in Michigan you can do that. Very unique experience, and if you get a chance, it's a fun thing. There's plenty of room.
And I've got to believe for local anglers, I mean, it's a big part of the wintertime fun. I'm thinking about, I always talk about this history and tradition. Well, spearing perch on Lake St. Clair for local guys has to have been something you've been doing since you were a kid.
Yeah, I started out, Mike, with my grandma and grandpa, back when I was a young kid. And actually back in the 60s, you could still spear muskies back then. And my grandmother, actually, I've seen pictures of her with a couple of very nice muskies, that she'd speared through the ice. So, that, Mike, that's important to pass that on. So, if you can get kids involved in that, more power, that's how I got involved. And we need to keep this heritage and pass that on and make sure that we get continued participation.
Well, Jim Felgenauer, you have certainly done a wonderful job in that, encouraging and promoting this outdoor lifestyle. Always a pleasure, my friend, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Jim Felgenauer talking about spearing perch on Lake St. Clair. Talk about a wintertime tradition in southeast Michigan. One more option, one more opportunity. Take a break here on the Outdoor Magazine Show. A few more thoughts when we come back right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Saginaw on WSTW AM and FM, 790 AM, 100.5 FM. The station's now simulcast, which means you can hear the show on both stations at the same time. In fact, it's Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And glad to be working with the folks from SGW. A very close relationship. I'm in their studios right now, though while I'm here, it's called the Outdoor Magazine Studio. Charlie Rood with me doing a wonderful job as always. He turns and waves to the adoring fans. even with social distancing, we have a huge audience here watching us to record and produce each week's show. Well, not really. There's nobody here. In fact, in this whole building, there's probably not a half dozen people right now. And not just because of the holiday. Hey, speaking of the holiday, Happy New Year to you. To you, your family. High hopes for 2021, right? And I'm not going to be one of those people who say, well, it's got to be better than 2020. 'Cause I'm not going to say anything like that. But I am optimistic. And in a lot of ways, I mean, in the world, we have to deal with what is thrown at us, right? So there are a lot of things we don't have any control over. But in most situations, there are still things we can do to make it better. And again, in 2020, the thing that was better, in my opinion, was more interest in the outdoors. More and more people got involved in hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping than we've seen in recent history. And it's my hope that that continues into 2021 and beyond. And there's really no reason to believe that it won't, right? Because, I mean, think about it. How many times have you taken somebody out hunting or fishing and introduced them to it that they didn't absolutely fall in love with it? I've never taken anybody fishing that said, oh, you know what, it's okay, but it's not really for me. Never. Because once you experience it, no pun intended, man, you're hooked. What else is going on? Earlier in the show, 2021, I realized that this is my 40th anniversary in broadcasting. Started as a part-time videographer at TV 12 in Flint in 1981. I was pretty young then. So I'll be honest, I'm kind of proud of that. That's a long time to spend doing something. And I'll say again, I couldn't do it without your support. If you weren't listening or interacting with me on social media or listening to the podcast, there'd be no reason for me to do this. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. I did have a chance to get out in the woods one last time before my bow season ended. Had another close encounter with a small buck, some fawns, and some of those big does I was looking for. We zigged and they zagged. We moved and should have stayed right where the blind was. But that's hunting. I look back on this past season with a smile on my face. I never did shoot a deer. I never had a shot at a deer. And unlike some people, I don't blame the DNR. It's not their fault. Nobody's fault but my own. Probably set up at the wrong place at the wrong time or whatever. But that's all right. I honestly don't care because I felt my interest in deer hunting come back. And that's what I was trying to do. I had been struggling for the last few years with all the crap surrounding deer hunting today. And I was just trying to reconnect with my roots to get back to what deer hunting is all about and forget about all the other stuff. Forget about the social shaming. Forget about the antler point restriction battle. Forget about the, you should have given him another year. I just put that all behind me, and I went out and hunted the way I wanted to hunt. And it was with a recurve. I knew I wasn't going to shoot a 1.5-year-old buck. If anybody else wanted to, God bless you. I knew my goal was a big, adult, mature doe with my recurve. And I did not accomplish it. But what I did accomplish was to get back out there and rekindle my interest in deer hunting. And that is something I had been craving for the last several years. So in that way, the year was a huge success. So what I will do now is start thinking about springtime turkey season. Now, I know there's a lot of good hunting, some wonderful hunting over the wintertime, some great rabbit hunting, small game. I get that. But for me, my next outdoor quest will be trying to shoot another bird, turkey, with my recurve. And then next fall, trying to once again to shoot a doe with my bow, my recurve. They're not New Year's resolutions. They are goals because resolutions in my mind are not meant. They're too easy to break. But if you set a goal and commit yourself to it, that's a little more hardcore. As we wrap up one year, look towards another, are some things I like to, what have I learned in the outdoors? Don't leave fish to find fish. There's always fish up high. Make sure you run a bait up high. Never cancel a trip based on a weather forecast. And this year, 2 things I learned. The Texas heart shot is not a preferred shot on a turkey with a bow, even though I'd always been told it was. I found out it's not. And the other thing is, when you're hunting for deer from a ground blind, especially with a recurve, don't try to cover too much territory. Limit yourself to one shooting lane. Concentrate on that. It's either going to happen or it's not. So I learned 2 things this year. I had a good year. I learned 2 things. If I could learn 2 things every year, I'd be happy. We'll take a break. When we come back, wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Minar right here on Outdoor Magazine. By now, you know all about Angler Quest boats. The center console design, binary wall system, and smooth ride with lots of room have anglers convinced a pontoon can be a great fishing rig. And the folks at Michigan-based Angler Quest continue to make their boats even better. Now the signature rocket launcher Arch can tilt down. That's great for high water levels, trailering, and storage. Also, there's a new panfish model that's perfect for smaller inland lakes. The popular Pro Troll models continue to dominate big water for walleye, salmon, and trout, and the family fish can keep everyone happy, whether fishing or cruising. All Angler Quest boats are designed by fishermen and made in Michigan by skilled craftsmen using the latest technology. You can learn more online at anglerquestpontoons.com. That's anglerquestpontoons.com. With more models, upgraded designs, plenty of features, and bigger outboards, this is the perfect year for you to join the Angler Quest family.
At Garber Chevrolet in Midland, Saginaw, Linwood, and Caro, we're better for a reason. Like Garber's low price guarantee. Get incredible everyday low prices on a new Chevy Equinox, Silverado, Traverse, or Trax. Think you found a better deal somewhere else? Bring it to us, and we will beat it. Getting more options and choices is always better. That's the benefit of having the Great Lakes Bay region's largest inventory of new Chevrolets. When you shop Garber Chevrolet, you won't have to shop around to find exactly what you're looking for. And Garber Chevrolet's award-winning customer service is in a class of its own. Your needs will always come first. Better prices, better selection, and better service. There's a reason why you'll do better at Garber Chevrolet in Midland, Saginaw, Linwood, and Caro. Home of the low price guarantee. Chevy, find new roads and find a better deal online at GarberChevrolet.com.
You'll do better at Garber.
Have you tried the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks from Michigan Brand Meats? They feature 2 of my favorites, elk and pepper, and I think they taste great. I've been working with the Grillo family of Michigan Brand for a few years now, and I couldn't be happier. Michigan Brand is family-owned and based right here in Michigan, and they make lots of great products. From jerky, sausage, and those Hunter Sticks to their famous Michigan Brand hams, you can't go wrong with Michigan Brand meats. Plus, Michigan Brand can process your boned-out wild game, too. Check out the website, michiganbrand.net, for more info. That's michiganbrand.net. You can buy the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks on that website. Plus, you can get them at Jay's Sporting Goods, all Forward convenience stores, Jack's Fruit Markets, and many other great stores, too. There's a complete list on the website. Again, that's michiganbrand.net for the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks, the outstanding Michigan Brand hams, and lots more. michiganbrand.net. Security Credit Union wants to thank you for helping to make them one of Michigan's fastest growing credit unions. Check out Security's Debit Rewards program, where you can earn points just by using your debit or Titanium Rewards credit card. Redeem those points for great gifts and merchandise. Or how about the Save to Win account? That's a Security Credit Union account that gives you all the benefits of a traditional savings account, plus the chance to win big. Every $25 you deposit into this share certificate earns you an entry into the monthly and quarterly drawings. The more you save, the more chances to earn, up to 10 entries per month. You'll build up your savings, earn interest and dividends, and have a chance at multiple prizes. And remember, Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. So glad to have you along with us. My name is Mike Avery, and I'm here every week for 3 hours talking about the great outdoors, the history and tradition of the outdoor lifestyle here in the great state of Michigan, and occasionally beyond, and almost every week. I mean, like 99.9% of the time. We wrap up each week's show with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Minar, and I'm not going to mess that successful run up this week. And Dave is with us once again. David, welcome back. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
And to you, my friend, too. I had quite a shock. I was listening Saturday on 100.5, and it was a talk show guy, and I just talked to your guy there in studio, and he said, we're only on Sundays here in this area.
That's right, because the AM and the FM station are now simulcast, so it's Sunday mornings at 9 on both stations, yeah. They didn't get rid of me. Radio. They didn't kick me out the door. I'm still here.
Hey, I got a nice hearty venison Salisbury steak. What do you think?
I like that idea a lot.
Man, it's a great way to use some of the venison. It's a hearty, snowy kind of a day, meal, so... If you're going to do this for 4 or 5 portions, you're going to need 1.5 to 2 pounds of ground venison, 2 onions, between 1 and 2 onions, depending on how much you like onions to mix into this dice, fine. 3 beaten up eggs. Oh, lots of fresh ground black pepper, 1 to 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs, and about half a teaspoon of Italian spice, and about all the same, maybe a half a teaspoon to 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic. Mix all of these ingredients together after you beat up the eggs, and then form them into the size patties you want. If you want a smaller one, say 6 ounces, if you use 2 pounds of venison, you're going to end up with about 5 or 6 patties. But if you want a nice hearty meal, 8 ounces per person, 2 pounds would give you just a nice hearty dish there. So what you're going to do, after you get all the ingredients mixed up together, form them in some oblong patties, maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch thick, and in a large saute pan with a little teeny bit of olive oil or whatever kind of oil you like. Brown the meat on both sides slowly. You don't want to burn this. Layer them out nicely in an oven-proof baking dish. Now for your sauce, this is an option, a half a cup of good dry red wine. That makes this hearty, but if you're opposed to using it, use nothing. Some more fresh ground pepper. 1 to 2 medium onions, cut in half and then sliced across the grain. So instead of circles, you have like teeny wedges. A couple cloves of garlic. Oh, well, you're probably going to need 2 cups of water, some beef base or bouillon cubes, or you could use 2 jars of beef gravy to make it real easy. And if you're going to use the water in the beef base, you're going to need melted down cornstarch. So in the same pan that you did the browning off of the meat, you can start to saute the onions up easy, not too fast. You don't want to burn them. You don't want to scorch that pan. Just make them nice and transparent. Add the wine, the water, bring that up to a boil. Add your beef base, or you can thicken that with the cornstarch. Taste a little bit of it. See if this is to your flavor. If it is, then continue to thicken it up with the cornstarch. Pour it over the patties. Bake at 350 degrees for at least an hour, because they're kind of thick, and you're not starting off with much hot liquid, only the patties. So, boy, this would be great with mashed potatoes or buttered noodles, and you could use that same gravy on the mashed potatoes. It would be just a delightful dish. We used to make this at the restaurant all the time when we were open in the winter. Hearty dish.
Oh, it sounds great. And speaking of the restaurant, you know what I'm missing right now? Every year at this time, we would take our pastor out for our pastor appreciation dinner, and we would always go to Dave's restaurant, and it's breaking my heart that we can't do that this year, Dave.
How do you think I feel, Michael?
I know. That's what I was thinking.
I feel literally crushed.
Well, let's hope that things can change here in 2021, Dave.
Oh, man. it's just been, it was nice to have that 2 weeks off that I thought we were going to have. Heck, it's stretched into 10 months now already. It's been pretty sad.
Well,
for everybody, not just us.
I know, but we miss you, Dave. We want to get those doors back open to come in and see you, and when we can, I want to do a Wednesday night live there, and let's pack the place and let's get rocking again.
Let's talk to Gretchen. Everybody call Gretchen and say, "Open up Dixie Dave's in Perch, run Old Dixie in, please."
Yeah, we'll see how that works.
As long as it's safe and it's socially acceptable, and there's not going to be any spreading of the COVID. After that, I'll be ready.
Yeah, we'll wait till we can do it for sure. But as soon as we can, Dave, let's get it done.
I'm not going to cheat.
I know you won't. I know it. Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dave Minar. Happy New Year to you. Yeah, Happy New Year to you, Dave. Chef Dave Minar, a friend of mine, been working with him for many, many years back since we had the Outdoor Magazine television show. He was on, I think, every show for the last several years for sure. And then he joins me here on the radio show every week as well. And I am looking forward to that. One of the things I would hope to get accomplished here in 2021 is that we could start our live Wednesday night lives again. That was kind of crazy. Live Wednesday night lives. Our in-person Wednesday night live events. We've done them at Oscar and Joey's Roadhouse. We've done them at the Lumberjack Restaurant. And several other places as well. But that's something I would really welcome the opportunity to do, to start to get back to normal. It's going to be a while. I know that. It's going to be a while. But I'm a patient man. That's for sure. Happy New Year to you. You can always get in touch with me. Send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. The website, mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Have a great week. And I'll talk to you next time right here on Outdoor Magazine.